Hello, everybody. It's Pastor Hans again, and it's great to be with you today. Today, I'm continuing a conversation about the faith of the next generation. Specifically, during this series, we want to answer the question, how do I pass on faith to my kids? During this series, I want to give you 4 solutions. In the last session, I gave you solution number 1, make it irresistible. The church was never meant to be a have-to experience. It was never meant to be a painful obligation you endured. The first church was irresistible, and if we want to pass faith on to the next generation, the first place to start is to make church irresistible. Well, today, I want to give you solution number 2. Are you ready? Well, guess who is most important in passing on faith to the next generation? It's not us as pastors. It's not the youth leader who knows all the campy games and stays up all night with kids at church lock-ins. Let me give you a hint. It's the person who spends more time with your kids than anyone else. It's you. Parents, when it comes to passing on the faith, parents matter most. There was a national study of youth and religion that concluded that the very best way for youth to become more serious about their faith, don't miss this, is for their parents to become more serious about their own faith. Research is nearly unanimous on this topic. Parents matter most in shaping the religious lives of their children. Parents' religiosity during the teenage years is one of the strongest predictors of a young person's faith as they emerge into adulthood. It's not to say that parents determine their children's spiritual destinies, yet there is no doubt that teenagers' appreciation for God's ongoing movement in their lives, it's heavily influenced by their parents' appreciation for God's story. You see, proximity matters. Of course, there is a rub. Many adults, many of us parents, lack the confidence in articulating our own faith, much as teaching our kids about faith. We want it for our kids, but if we're honest, we feel we're not prepared. We're no more prepared than our kids. And so we turn the job over to the church, believing they're the experts. They'll do a better job than me. And yes, they may fill our kids with religious information and occasionally inspire them. But faith isn't about mastering a body of information. Faith is a way of life. You see, faith is caught. It's not taught. It's less about information about Jesus and more about cultivating trust in him. Faith does not depend on religious instruction. Trust in God isn't grounded in what we comprehend, but on who we love. The author of Deuteronomy, he wrote, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is God. You shall love the Lord with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Keep these words that I am commanding you today in your heart." And then he says, recite them to your children. Talk about them when you are at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you rise. What's the author saying? He's inviting parents to show their children what it's like to live a life with God, to model for them, to embody for them what it looks like to delight in God 24/7. Love those around you, your family, your neighbors, strangers, as Christ first loved you. And when you do, you tell your kids it's because Jesus that you choose to live this way. I think way back when, the leader of the Protestant Reformation, Martin Luther, knew even way back when, in the 1500s, that parents were the primary influencers in their kids' faith life. Get this. That's why he wrote the Small Catechism. Now, if you had to endure confirmation as a child, the church has misused the Small Catechism, unfortunately. It was never meant to be something a pastor made you memorize before you can be confirmed. Luther wrote it for parents. It was meant to be a guide for parents to enrich their own faith so they could pass faith on to their children. Now, today, the language is outdated, but the idea is the same. How do I pass on faith to my kids? Parents, You matter most. And it's not about how much information you give your kids. Just model the life of faith. Why? Because faith is caught. It's not taught. As I close today, a couple of questions for you to consider. First, how would you describe your parents' faith? What did they model? And secondly, our kids are always watching us. When they see your faith life, what do they see?